How's it going, everyone? It's G.I. Jake, your proud U.S. Army veteran, here to serve you. Today I'm going to talk about the red phase in basic training. It is the first phase, second is white phase, and blue phase. Right away, guys, let me tell you, it's probably the worst phase. All right, every morning they wake you up with pots and pans, bright and early, get you into formation, yell at you, smoke you, everything. Smoke, aka basically making you do drills until you break, okay? And this is all good for you in the long run. Actually, basic training as a whole is good for you. It's meant to break you down and build you back up. Also in the red phase, I think I mentioned before, you're gonna have a battle buddy. Everyone's gonna have a assigned battle buddy. Mine was Vaughn, some hick from the south. He was a cool guy. Like, I really didn't like him, but he was cool. He was much older. Again, I was only 17 when I went in, and there was a bunch of grown-ass men, 20s, 30s. I was just literally trying to fit in. But anyways, we would every day get up early, go do PT. PT is where you basically physical training. I love it. I love working out. I love conditioning, so it's pretty easy for me. I never drank in my life at that point. Never did any drugs or smoked or anything. So, and I had ran track and cross country for 6 years, so I went in the best shape of my life. And then after PT, you would go to formation, and then they would do whatever drills you were doing that day. Now there was BRM, basic rifle marksmanship, I believe that's what it is. I can't believe I remember that. And that was, we would go to the range and shoot. You needed a 23 to qualify. I got a 23 because I couldn't see dick. I had 20/70 vision. I now have 20/20 thanks to LASIK surgery. You should definitely look into that. I mean, it was just a lot of drills, a lot of training. I remember we went to the field on red phase, you go to the field for 1 day. White phase, you go to the field for 3 days, and red phase, you go for red phase 1 day, white phase 3 days, and then blue phase, you go to the field for a week. But you also stay like at a compound, which is pretty badass. But we're in the red phase, so we went to the field for 1 night. My battle buddy fucking got sick and went to sick call. So what happened was your battle buddy, your battle would have half a tent, and you would have the other half. And you make a tent together, and you'd have a whole tent. You call it a pup tent. Well, because my battle buddy went to fucking sick call, which I despise. I never went to sick call in 3.5 years, except one time, and that's when I was in Iraq. I'll get to that later. But we went to the field, and he didn't go, so I was by myself, so I only had fucking half a tent, and it's fucking raining, and it's muddy, and I had to sleep in the fucking field just like that, while everyone else had a whole tent. It was fucking horrible, and ever since then, I've hated camping. I refuse to go camping. Restroom, you had to dig a cat hole. It's basically where you go dig a whole shit or piss in it, and then bury up your fecal matter or your urine. It was a great experience. My battle buddy was back in the rear because he was fucking sick. Piece of shit. I'm still mad over that. Sorry about that. Anyways, move on. So yeah, we went to the field again. Now the interesting thing about our drill sergeant or our basic training was we had the platoon drill sergeant was Drill Sergeant Domingo, fucking sergeant first class badass. And then we had 2 reserve drill sergeants. Now, every 2 weeks, the whole time I was in basic training, we would get 2 new drill sergeants. So essentially, no matter what phase we're in, it always felt like red phase because these fuckers were doing 2 weeks out of the year. That's all they were working. They would come in and just fucking beat our asses, yell at us, and then, go home. So that was an interesting aspect of it. But we did have the main drill sergeant. Like I said, the platoon drill sergeant was a Drill Sergeant Mako. He was a cool guy. I think it was airborne. Just all around badass. I remember, again, it's been 10 years, but he was cool. He kept it straight and forward. When it came, he loved being in the field when it was time to make our bed and all that, because they teach you how to. The Army, they double proof everything. They teach you how to make your bed. They teach you how to put your clothes and your shoes a certain way in the locker. They do everything for you. He wasn't all about that. He was about, let's go fucking go to the field and shoot some shit. So we actually had a guy named Stark, who, the one thing you never want to do in the military is you never want to go AWOL. You have a DD-214, which you'll hear a lot. Mine says honorable discharge on it, and there's general, and then there's dishonorable, and then there's medical. Forgive me if I've left anything out. But you never want to go AWOL because you could get a dishonorable discharge. Well, there was a guy named Stark. This is why I advise you never get injured, because if you get injured or if you go AWOL, when you come back, whatever you missed, you have to go recycle and do that again. Well, this fuckboy went AWOL, came back, and they ended up recycling his ass. Like he got to finish basic training with his class, and then he recycled and started like on day 1 with us. So he had to do basic training like one whole time and a half. He was a cool cat. He had to show us how to make our bed and the measurements and all that, because our platoon drill sergeant was like, I'm not fucking doing this. But Stark was cool. He gave us a lot of inside knowledge because he had gone through it. Just imagine being sucked away from your world when you're in basic training. It is life changing. Everything you have. There's no clubs, there's no stores, there's no bitches, there's no alcohol, there's no liquor, there's no drugs, there's none of that. It's just there's no cell phones. It's everything's just pulled away from you, and you're here with this group of people, which is basically now your family. And by the way, if one of you guys fuck up, you all fuck up. Okay, you all get punished. So guidons mean a lot, especially in basic training, from what I remember. You know, when you go march into the DFAC or you go march into training to do some drills, you have your guidon. The guidon's in the front. Now we had the red flag because we were in red phase, and then you see other platoons or even other companies wearing that white flag, having that white flag up, or even the blue flag, blue phase, and you have more respect for them because they've already been through and they're about to graduate. Now, if you got in trouble, they would fold your flag up so you can even raise it up when you walk by when you march by another platoon or another company, because you fucked up. And being like it is, with everything else in life, I always happened to be on the wrong side, I guess, because we always got in fucking trouble. Our flag was folded up many, many times, our guidon was. But lo and behold, towards the end, a quick story, we had two guys, they were crazy, they were cool. One was Beckstead, I later ran into him in Iraq, and I forgot the other guy's name, but these motherfuckers got caught stealing food from the DFAC. I'll get into the DFAC next time. But these motherfuckers got caught stealing food, and they got called out, and they literally had to eat the food that the candy. They had to like a Cinnabon or some shit, and they literally had to eat it while we all got smoked, push-ups, flutter kicks, everything, you name it, jumping jacks. We had to do all that while they sat there and ate it, just like the movie Full Metal Jacket, except we didn't beat their asses with soap. I wish we did. But anyways, lo and behold, after about 3 weeks, we graduated the red phase, and we got our white flag, and we made it to white phase. And I'll get into that next time. Again, it's me, G.I. Jake, your proud U.S. Army veteran, here to serve you. Carry on.